What's good? What's good? Greetings once again. This is Krill from Out the Box Talks. I am back for another episode of season 4. This is episode 102. Man, it feels good to be talking about shows in the 100 range, man. So, as you guys know, I started season 4 last week, and we had the interview with brother S out of Canada. So big ups to everyone who has checked out that interview so far. You know, it's been doing pretty good on the platform. So thank y'all, man. And as always, you know, I have a dope guest that I bring to the platform. Today, actually, I have a number of guests. So it's not just one person that I'm spotlighting, but I have these group of individuals here to talk about one particular project, you know, that they have collaborated on. So I'm really excited to talk about this project. But before we get into who our guests are for the show, I do want to shout a few things out in relation to Out the Box. As you know, our website, our new music blog site is outtheboxmedia.com. This is where you can get access to brand new creative and conscious hip hop that's being released on a daily basis, on a regular basis. You know, for those that have been checking for me for years, you know, Out the Box has somewhat been a music blog in the past, but this year I decided to really go hard and stay consistent with the posts. So if you are someone that's looking for new hip hop, new creative, conscious, thoughtful, boom bap hip hop that you have a hard time finding, you know, this website is one of the places that you can go to get updated on brand new dope creative and conscious hip hop, as well as some soul music as well. You know, shout out to all the folks that's been checking out my monthly, you know, best of lists that I post at the end of every month. I just did the best of for hip hop as well as soul music as well. A lot of dope releases that have come out in the month of March. And I got another list coming in the month of April. So stay connected on the website. Also, we have a few things related to the platform that I think is beneficial for those that are listeners. So if you want to support us, you can support us by joining our Patreon page, which you can get access to exclusive interview clips that are not available to the general public. You have to be a Patreon. I believe I have about 40 exclusive interviews and counting up there. So if you want to get access to some of that, definitely go and, you know, consider joining the Patreon subscription. Also, for those that are interested in getting some of the merch that we have on the platform to support Out the Box, like this snapback hat right here and the t-shirts and all of that, you could go to our merch page, which is outtheboxmedia.bigcartel.com. I'll make sure I leave links in the description for you guys to get to as well. All right. And remember, if you're catching me on YouTube, the channel Out the Box TV, you can also listen to the high quality audio podcast via places like Spotify, Apple, Google, you know, Anchor, pretty much wherever you generally would go to listen to high quality audio podcasts. That's where we are. Just look for Out the Box Talks. All right. So I wanted to get that out the way. As always, like I said, I have a special guest to bring to you on the platform. The artists that I have today, they have collaborated on a project entitled HEIR. It's actually an EP that was released early February, and it showed up as one of my favorite hip-hop projects in the month of February, and also was on a playlist that I put together as well, the Spotify playlist I have. So yeah, man, it's really dope to be able to have not just the main artist, right, the main MC that is featured on this project, but the actual producer collective that have contributed to this project. So I'm really excited to bring them here. The main MC also has put out a project in 2009 entitled I'm Ready. So, and it was cool to hear a follow-up project in this year from her as well. So these artists are hailing from Houston, Texas. So it's good to get some Southern representatives here on the platform. So I want to welcome to our Out the Box Talks audience, without further ado, the peoples coming through, representing for this new HEIR album out of Houston, Texas, Sister C Red and the Roux. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Out the Box Talk. What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Y'all can unmute your mic just one by one. How y'all doing? Welcome to the platform. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, I'm good. I guess I'll go first. What's good? Thanks for having me.
Right. Indeed, indeed, man. It's a pleasure, as I said, to have you all on the platform and to have all of you, right? Because to my understanding, I have the full group of the Roux here, right? It's all three. We got Kay, we got Jermaine, and we got King Mason. So it's dope to have all of y'all here. And I want to definitely talk about this project. But before I get into the HEIR EP, I would like for you all to just give me a little history on what inspired you to pursue a career in music. So we'll start with C Red, being that she's the main MC on this project. And I guess you guys can kind of speak as a collective, the producer collective, the Roux, in terms of what got you guys started in music. So go ahead, C Red.
Yeah, so I mean, I started playing like piano and stuff like in elementary school. I was in band in middle school. I played clarinet and trumpet in band, but I also started rapping in middle school. I had a cousin. I'm from Florida originally, even though I'm out in Texas right now. So I had a cousin that came up to visit us for the summer, and he had like a Macintosh laptop that his school had given them to kind of like play with over the summer, and it had GarageBand on it. So we started like figuring out how to make beats and stuff, and started just making up all these songs and stuff. Where we were rapping, and we were middle schoolers, so it was not good music, but that's kind of what planted the seed for me, kind of falling in love really with hip hop and kind of getting exposed to more genres of music and stuff. Because before middle school, I kind of just listened to whatever my parents listened to. We didn't like watch, BET and MTV, and I didn't really listen to mainstream radio that much. So it was just a lot of like gospel music, soul music, funk music, that kind of stuff that I listened to growing up. So yeah, once I got in middle school, got exposed to hip hop, started rapping, and it kind of became my way of communicating my world around me, kind of communicating my thoughts and opinions about what was going on. Because I'm pretty introverted. I have like an introverted personality, but that was like my way of expressing myself. Um, yeah, and it just became my thing. Like I probably write a little bit every day, even if I don't write like a full like verse or a full song. It's just kind of what I would do like in lieu of journaling and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into music.
Wonderful. The power of communicating through music and through rhyme. The way you spit, I'm surprised to think that you're introverted, because you go in lyrically. You know what I mean? So thank you for sharing that. So anyone else in the group want to share how you guys got started, and really like how even the Roux came together?
I started music is in my blood. It's in my family. My father plays guitar, and his brothers had a funk band in the '70s and things of that nature. So I was always around music. Got into the whole gospel and church scene early on, as well as the funk scene and then the jazz. And I'm from New Orleans, so I got all of that experience. And then moved out to Houston in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina. And there I kind of found the underground side of hip hop. the Dilla and things of that nature. And just a few years ago, Kay and I met at a studio. I was just recording something for a friend, and we met. He was there, and he and King Mason had already been working and cooking things up, and they were killing. So it kind of ended up just being this really beautiful synergy of just quality music and just really people that just really enjoy music from a standpoint of we just love it, and the ability to create it, that's something different. But it's in our hearts, man.
Beautiful, beautiful. Want to go next, Kay? And let me just shout out, that was Jermaine. So just introduce yourself before you speak, so those listening audio know who's speaking. But shout out, thanks, Jermaine.
All right. Well, my name is Kay, as you see in the lower corner. So I started off kind of like C Red, MCing, just trying to understand hip hop. So I actually started out as a rapper, produced, was in multiple groups over the years. And I would say that I'm kind of fortunate is, as an MC, I was just lucky to be around a lot of great producers. And I learned a lot about the craft. I don't play an actual instrument, but I'm a crate digger, and like Jermaine says, I'm always like trying to understand what makes music make me feel the way it does. I know it's weird, but and I just really study how things are put together. So that's kind of, you know, I think that it's just dope us as a collective, and I just go into like the whole thing of the Roux is, anybody that knows gumbo, it's like, you have your Roux, which is the foundation of your gumbo, right? And then you just go in and you just, everybody has their own recipe. Everybody throws their own little thing in the gumbo. And so I think the way that we kind of produce collectively is, we're always making a gumbo for somebody, be it for C Red or whoever we, work with. So that's kind of, I'm a older gentleman, and I can say that I guess one of the biggest blessings for me is like we truly, I could say for all three of us, we make what we like. So we don't feel pressure to try to sound a kind of way. We just, if it's jamming, it's jamming. We just gonna, just try to make the best thing that we can make as a collective. So that's kind of me, and then kind of I gave you the Roux spiel, so I let Ronnie look like he in the haunted house. King Mason, what you got, bro?
Talk to us, King Mason. Unmute your
What's going on? How y'all doing? Y'all all right? That's good. All right. Okay. Hey, I'm working. So how I got into music, I grew up in church. My dad's a pastor, and my mom's a slash. So slash means she does everything but preach. She take up offering, she clean bathrooms, she take care of the children, and she do all the rest of that. So just growing up with that type of stuff, came to Houston. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. So everybody from the Midwest, what's going on? Then moved down here. My mom came here to go to law school at Texas Southern University in Houston. I got a scholarship to Texas Southern, a piano scholarship. I started off though in church and middle school playing drums and trombone. Majored in music composition at Texas Southern, but did not graduate. Did my first 2 years. Got my theory under my belt, and I went overseas and started touring. Then came back, worked with a group. I'm not going to name their name, but then Kay rescued me. And the name of our group is called the Roux now. So, and working with C Red and all the rest of it, it's a great thing. I promise you it is. So that's my spiel. There you go.
Thank you for your spiel, brother. Thank you. Listen, thank y'all for sharing that. So I like to go into a little bit about the album, and a lot of the questions will be centered around the lyrics on the album, but I'm also going to get into the production as well. So let's start with how you see Red and the Roux came together? Like, where did you guys first meet to develop this bond into where would be this EP entitled HEIR?
Jermaine, do you want me to take this, or do you want to take it? Or do you want to start off?
You got it.
Okay, cool. So I don't even know what year this was. This was probably 2018, I would think, maybe, Jermaine. Yeah. So Jermaine and I actually played in a live show together in Houston. It was basically like a setup where they had different artists kind of in the lineup. We would kind of bring our music, and they would have a band kind of like play on top of whatever 2-track that we brought for our set. So I did that at the event in Houston, and Jermaine was playing the bass for that event. And, you know, we kind of chopped it up after the show, like exchanged contact information and stuff, because he thought I did a decent job rocking the mic. And so from that point, you know, we kind of kept in touch, and he told me that he was a part of a production team, and they were looking to work with artists and put together projects and things like that. And I know a thing that he and I talked about in the process of that is like making the project not only that sounds good, you know, for listeners with their headphones and stuff, but also that could be easily translated into more live performances and things like that, like with the band and all that, because that just kind of enhances the experience for everybody, for the artists and for the audience as well. So yeah, we met up at a coffee shop in Houston and kind of talked shop a little bit about what it would look like putting together a project and all of that. And then I got invited to Kay's crib. He does a lot of production and recording and stuff over there. So I went over there to meet with him, and he kind of like played me some of their tracks and stuff. And I was like, whoa, like this is incredible. It was like, it was unlike anything that I had heard really before. And it was kind of, I knew it would kind of push me as an artist to kind of really enhance my sound and really improve my songwriting and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it started. They sent me a few tracks, and I started writing to those, and we would kind of go back and forth, giving feedback on, you know, what direction and stuff to go in and all that kind of stuff. So I think I basically covered it, but that's kind of how it started. The live show with Jermaine, and us kind of figuring out like we had chemistry during that live show. We could probably have chemistry as a group, and it kind of worked out that way.
Indeed, indeed. How did y'all come up with the title HEIR?
I came up with the title. So it's weird. We had a few different concepts for the album, but once we kind of picked out the songs and stuff that we liked most, I kind of started going through kind of what each song meant to me. And so HEIR is meant to be an acronym that stands for having everything inside revealed. And so at that point in my life, and kind of at the point where we were releasing the project, I really thought it was a good representation of who I am as a person, kind of what things are important to me, what issues are important to me, what people are important to me, like all those kinds of things. So I thought it was like a good representation of everything that I have inside of me. Kind of going back to me telling you I'm introverted, like a lot of people don't know really anything about me. And, you know, I dropped the project I'm Ready, you know, 3 years ago, but this project sounds completely different than that. And so it was a lot of just kind of me exposing more of myself internally as a person, but also artistically. And so that's kind of where the concept for the title came from.
Nice, nice. One of the standout lines on the first track, like HEIR, C-Red, you say, talent don't mean nothing when you don't put in the effort. And that's one of those, I mean, you got a lot of lines on the project that just kind of pop out and hit you, but that was one of the ones that I remembered clearly. At what point in time did you come to that realization or that awakening moment in regards to that line?
Man, that's a great question. That definitely happened while I was here in Houston. So, you know, like I said, I've been rapping since middle school. I've kind of been involved as an artist for a while. And I think one of the things that's easy to do as an artist is to kind of get frustrated by where you are or where you are not when you start comparing yourself to other people. And so, especially when I was working on this project, I really started, you know, doing a lot of internal reflection about, you know, I am where I am because I'm supposed to be here. And some of it's, I haven't met the right people or it's not the right timing for certain stuff. But also some of it was I wasn't working hard enough. I wasn't working hard enough to be a better lyricist, to be a better songwriter, to, enhance my sound and things like that. And so I think that line for me meant like, hey, I have this talent, right? But it's not going to mean anything if I'm not doing everything that I can to enhance it and like try to get it out to more ears and get it out to more people. And in that same regard, like I think it can go for music, it can go for a sport, it can go for, anything that anybody's trying to work towards. Like you're going to have some innate ability or some natural ability to do anything, but you're also going to have to put in the work to make yourself better and to really enhance your craft. So that's what that line was for me.
Nice. What did effort towards success begin to look like for you?
Effort towards success?
Yeah, like, you talk about effort too, right? Like on that, in that particular line. Like, so like what did effort put in towards success begin to look like for you?
Yeah, I think for me, especially because I'm a medical student. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I'm a fourth year medical student. So especially at working on this project, a lot of it was time management, like setting aside the time. Like I can make a lot of excuses like, oh, I have to be, at the hospital at 5 a.m, or, oh, I have, I have all these other things I need to do, but music was still a really, really, really big priority for me. So the effort in that end was like, okay, so you have all this other stuff to do. How are you going to fit it into your schedule if it's important to you? Like, how are you going to like fit it into your list of priorities if you're like, if you're talking all that talk, but you're not kind of making the space and making the room for it. So especially with this project, it was, making sure I was writing consistently, getting feedback from other people, kind of putting my pride aside and like getting feedback so I could actually make the best music possible. I've told Kay and Jermaine and Mason this quite a bit, but like with this project, I did more writing and rewriting and like regurgitating and like having somebody listen to this and kind of where do I lose you? You know what I'm saying? Like trying to really, really figure out how to like make something that was going to sound good to more people than just me. Because when you're an artist, it's not really about you. Like you're making the music that you like and that you want to hear, but it's also, to enhance the lives of the people who are listening to it. So yeah, with this project, it really, really pushed me to, again, become a better lyricist, become a better songwriter, put my ego to the side and kind of just do what was best for the whole group and for the project.
Right. Now the project, I'm just looking again. I think it's only six tracks, right? Or 6 songs. Yeah. So it made me think as you were just responding there about if you guys had to like narrow down songs, because you said you did a lot of writing. Did you find yourself in a place where you had to kind of scale back and really just work with a certain amount to get to 6?
No, it wasn't really like that in that regard. We kind of picked out the tracks that we wanted to use and like kind of how they would be sequenced, like sonically and stuff like that. And even with subject matter, like I think we flipped a couple of them around, but for the most part, we had what we wanted, like skeleton wise, sonically. And so a lot of it was me just, trying to write the best songs and like figure out the right features and stuff like that.
Got it. So this next question is for the Roux, and either one of you all can answer this, or if more than one person wants to answer, that's fine too. The production on the album is, well, it's an EP. My bad. The production on the EP is rich and soulful and overall very cohesive in terms of the sound, and it really complements C-Red's thought-provoking and swift lyricism, because that's what I get from your lyricism on the project. How were you all able to craft the production to best complement C-Red's vocals? And that question is to the Roux.
Okay, I guess I'll take it. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So the one thing, and I guess we kind of discussed this, is we actually sat and listened to the music. So we actually listened to C-Red before she came and before we met. And just and I personally like that. You know, we discussed that as well. It's like, um, of course, Jermaine met her first, and he just kind of discussed her to us. And I know for like weeks we just kind of sat and listened to her projects and kind of got a sense of who she was. And so when she came through, it was just kind of, I know it's kind of weird, but like we do like the whole custom tailored to fit or what we think. And so when she came through, it was more of and it's kind of weird, but it's like scoring a movie. And
Mm,
so it's like we looked at it as like what it would be the score to whatever project that she would want. And then we just kind of proposed like these songs sound cohesive together. You get your peaks and valleys, and then we just kind of proposed it that way. I think that's different than like, you know, as being an MC, I understand when you get like batches of beats.
right.
And the one thing about MCs, I think MCs do good sequencing projects because they're always in a place to where they're having to pull stuff. They're artists in a sense that way as well as a producer, because it's like they're overall like saying, okay, these things go together, and they're picking and pulling from other producers and stuff like that. We tried to make that easier for her to where it was like, okay, these are things that sound good together. And so it really wasn't like a whole bunch of tracks that she really had to go through. And
Mm,
it was really more about the sequencing and how she wrote to it. Um, as far as the sound, again, that's just kind of just how we sound. So when she walked in the door, I would say, and she could probably tell the story about the intro, but for the most part, everything was like 95, 90%. That's how it sounded
mm,
when she walked in the door. And so basically at that point, after she wrote, then it was just kind of like tailoring and just making sure like, okay, this instrument is clashing when she says this word here. It shouldn't be there. And we
mm.
was having those kind of conversations. So um, I think that was something that we tried to do, is do our homework on, you know, not only her as a lyricist, but I would say my perception of what it means to work with C Red, because I think the dope thing about C Red is because she's busting her tail in medical school and she has bars and she's willing to be honest about that and to
Mhm.
give people a different story. So that was I mean, in this, that was pretty much the gist of the production. So everything else was just kind of us working together, and I guess that'll be a good segue. You can tell them about the intro. It's a funny story, but I mean, for the most part, that's kind of how stuff went.
Nice. So, it's interesting. I'm just curious to know. It sounded like you guys were able to build on top of her recorded vocals and then make adjustments with the instrumentals. So that's dope. That's dope. Like, what was that experience like for you as a producer, for you guys as producers, to be able to add on to this palette that was already created?
Well, I'd say this is Jermaine. I'd say that it was somewhat expected because I had already heard her spit, and what she didn't say earlier is that she absolutely killed that performance. It was not normal by any measure. So I knew we were going to get something special, which is why I really wanted her to be the first person that I personally brought to the team to do a collaborative with. Um, and so when we start getting the lyrics back, we were all just like blown away. It's like, those goosebumps when you just hear it in a raw form, it's going to be special. So it kind of pushes you also to make sure your stuff is as perfect as can be, because she definitely brought the heat. So it's just that kind of thing. It was iron sharpening iron. It's awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Dope, dope. So the live instrumentation is also very apparent on this project. Who contributed which instruments on the EP?
I did most of the basses and all of the guitars. Um, Mason, you want to chime in?
You there, Mason? You can unmute your mic.
That's all right. Mason did the all of the keys and
Yeah.
some of the basses, and then Kay did all of the production, the chops, the mixing, and all of the intricate stuff.
Nice. Nice. So I want to actually go back to another lyric of yours, C Red. You also say on the song like air, God-given potential, biggest fear is being regular. What do you mean by being regular, and why is it a big fear for you?
Yeah, so that line I think is just not tapping into all of the potential and all of what, you know, God has planned for whatever I'm going to do with this gift. So yeah, that's what I meant by being regular. It's just kind of like if I didn't take music as seriously, if I didn't, kind of put my all into it, I would just, just be kind of like a fun fact, for an icebreaker. Like, oh, I used to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't like take myself seriously enough to really make a difference. So that's kind of what I meant by that line. It's just really just not rising to where I could have been for what kind of God intended for me.
Yeah, it was an interesting line because you said it was like your biggest fear, right? So I was like, man,
Yeah.
I wonder why that
Yeah.
became that topic, So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, can I say a little bit more? Sorry.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like spawned another thought. I think I don't know, I don't remember like what Bible verse and stuff it is, but there's a few places in the Bible I think that talk about the fruit that you produce and kind of like if you have these things but you don't use them, you'll kind of be like held accountable for that in that
Mm.
regard as well. So that's like another thing that I think about. Like, I don't know all the things that are gonna happen, once I pass away and like go through that whole like afterlife process. But like I would hate to like hopefully get up to heaven and God be like, I mean, it's cool that you're here, but I wanted you to do these things with the gift that I gave you, but you didn't do them because you were, worried about XYZ or distracted with other things. So that was kind of like the big fear that I was mentioning in that part.
Got it. So another question in relation to the lyrics, actually in relation to the second track, how has having a God-willing mentality or a faith-based mentality helped you to avoid stress in your career path as a musician?
I don't know that it helps me avoid stress. I think it, yeah, I think it just kind of helps me put things into perspective a little bit more and kind of do a little bit less of the comparing that's so easy to do when you're in, well, any industry really, but especially as an artist, because people are always comparing you to other people. You're always looking at like, oh, this person did this, maybe I need to do that. And it's just kind of like, I feel like with God willing and kind of my faith, it just kind of like keeps me focused on my path is my path. My story is my story, my journey is my journey. And it's kind of less about what other people are doing and like more about what I need to be doing to kind of use my gift to its fullest and to its potential. So yeah, that's what I would say about that.
I could dig it,
Yeah.
and that's a theme that I hear. I want to say at least a couple other times on the project, just you kind of staying in your lane and staying focused on doing you.
Mhm.
So also on that song, I think I hear you say, I think you say it in the hook. You say, grinding, grinding.
Mhm.
What is the smartest way you think for an artist to exercise his or her grind towards success in 2022? Like, what's the best way to utilize this grind mentality in this day and age from your
Wow.
experience?
I don't know if I can speak for anybody else. I think I'll just have to answer for me and kind
Yeah,
of
absolutely, for you.
if other people can take it, that's cool. No, man, I really think it kind of goes back to some of the other stuff I was talking about, like time management and kind of making sure your priorities are in line. I think kind of where you spend your time and kind of where you spend your money and like your resources and where you allow your thoughts and stuff to spend most of their time is kind of indicative of what's most important to you. So for any artist, I would just say, like, if this is what you want, put in the time. Be receptive to others' feedback, but like don't let it stop you. Just as somebody doesn't like something that you do, like nobody's gonna like everything that anybody does. Like everything's not for everybody every time. So just don't get discouraged, and really just stay consistent. I would say, especially for me over these past, 3-4 years, consistency has really made a huge difference, really in everything that I'm doing artistically. So it's just kind of being willing to take that chance on yourself and, maybe miss out on certain lower priority things to kind of really focus on what's important, so you can put that time in and kind of make yourself better and better each day.
I like that. Focus and consistency and prioritizing.
Yeah, 100%.
So the song Top Down, probably my favorite track on the album. There's another track that I really, really like too, but I think Top Down is the one that, when you go back and you play back a project and you're like, oh, that's the one, that's the track. Yeah, that's the one that keeps coming back to me. You have a line on there where you say, want to see them mental thrones, but I know that we can't unless we get it how we live, love the things we do, separate ourselves from things that doesn't speak our truth. You got to love the ones you with, fall in love with you, celebrate success. That part is up to you. And that is one of the more memorable lines on the song, because I think you repeat it a few times. It may be a part of the hook, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me exactly what the mental throne is and why you chose those words to describe how to achieve it.
Yeah. So the mental throne, I think, so the project is called HEIR. Like there's a lot of different things going on. It's an acronym, but you can also think like heir to a throne of certain things.
I like
So
that.
I think that, yeah, I think, while we're here on Earth, like we're kind of creating like our own kingdoms in different regards. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that we work towards, our families, our friends, like all those kinds of things. And so I think a lot of our ability to be successful in those realms, enjoy those realms, all of those things is like really, really driven by our thought process and how we think about those things. And with Top Down, a lot of it's like I talk a lot about like mindfulness kinds of things and all that kind of stuff throughout the song. And so I think really there it's like, to me, like the call for action to kind of having positive thoughts, like trying to let go of negative things, like again, figuring out what's most important to you, why it's most important to you, falling in love with yourself. Like all of us are like very, very critical of ourselves, like just regardless, you know what I'm saying? So it's just accepting yourself for who you are, what things you enjoy, what things you like, and really kind of going forward with that, if that makes sense. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
When you close with the words, that part is up to you, which part are you actually talking about?
All of it. So everything that I said kind of before that line is get it how you live, love the things you do, celebrate, hold on, get it how you live, love the things you do, separate yourself from things that doesn't speak your truth. Like all of that, like everything that I say before that part is up to you is kind of what I'm referring to for that, because a lot of it is a personal decision to kind of just let certain things go and not let certain things kind of rule your life and kind of rule your thought processes about the things that you're doing and how you feel about yourself as a person.
Got it. I'm glad you clarified that, because I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe you were talking about the part where you were just saying celebrate success.
Oh
But,
yeah, that part too. 100%.
all of
100%.
it.
Yeah, celebrating the little wins and the big ones for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Often in your music, C-Red, you talk about your connection to the Black struggle and your love and desire to see us as Black folks achieve success, worthiness, overall happiness, right?
Mhm.
Where did your commitment to Black excellence originate from? Who or what originally inspired that mentality in you?
It would have to be my parents. Yeah, that started at home. Yeah, as long as I can remember, like my parents have kind of exposed me to as much as they could and encouraged me in every way that they could, even if they didn't understand. Like they don't really understand hip hop really still. Like they've tried, but they don't really like even get what I'm doing fully. I think even up to this point. But I always remember, they always encouraged us, be educated, not be afraid to speak our minds and like do what's right and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that definitely started at home as long as I've had memories.
Shout out to moms and dad, right? Shout out to the
Yeah.
parents who are the foundation, our first teachers. So the song You and Yours features two guests on the track, Vanessa Hill and Tiara Jewel.
Mhm.
I was a little unsure of their roles on the track. So maybe, the Roux could fill in with this question. Who's actually singing on the hook and what's the role of the other person? Just, clarify for me.
So the hook is Vanessa Hill, very talented singer in the city. Uh, she works with Toby Inigwe, if I say his name right.
Oh, big ups to Toby, yeah.
Yeah, she's done some stuff with Nicolay
Nice.
from the Foreign Exchange. Um, just really just talented, just good people. I've known for years. And then Tierra Jewel, um, funny story. So um, we were working on another project for somebody else and shooting a video. So we were in the car just listening to a playlist. And so her EP, just like when you listen to Spotify and just the next thing pops up.
Mhm.
So I started listening to it. I'm like, okay, this is dope. And then you just kind of hear stuff that kind of is just kind of put you in mind of the city. So I'm like, oh, this sounds like this person's from here. So go online, find her on Instagram. She's from Houston.
Mm.
So I'm like, wow. So the more I start listening to it, I'm just like a forward dude. So I was just like, I normally don't do this, but if somebody's really, really dope, I'll just hit you in DM like, yo, respect, you nice. So by the way, she did like the ad lib work.
Mm.
So all the stuff that you hear that's kind of aligned with the music, it's like she's singing. It's almost like a pad, this a part of the music, right? So we I reach out to her, chase her down for like a year and a half, and then come to find out that our family's from the same town in Michigan.
Mm.
Like her dad is like, and my god brother like went to school together. It's like really weird, right? And so as we were working on the project, like she's just really like a dope vocalist. So if you have the opportunity, people out there, check out Tierra Jewel, check out Vanessa Hill, just really talented, great artists. And so when we were doing like the listening for our project, we put a project out and the three of them was sitting in the back. Remember that? We had the behind the scenes and C Red and Vanessa and Tierra, they was sitting there talking and I was like, man, they got to do a song together. And so that's kind of how that came together. And, I think if I'm not mistaken, like you and T, y'all talk quite a bit too now, huh? Yeah. So it's this whole project is just built friendships and it really wasn't transactional at all. So, but that's kind of how what spawned that. So
Mm.
just to give a background on the features on there. So.
Nice. And it's dope that you spoke on the chemistry because, like I said, the project sounds cohesive. So and everything works, So just to be clear, so you said Vanessa Hill is the main person that's singing on the hook, but the ad libs are kind of in the background with Tiara Jewel, right? And I just wanted to be sure because I couldn't tell. I was like, I know I can hear Vanessa, but I didn't know that it was her at the time. because I wasn't sure who was who singing. But talk to me a little bit more about, like, for someone listening for the first time that doesn't know, how do they find Tierra's vocals on that track?
Okay, so the process of that, so I'm gonna try not to be too technical, but so you have like the music, right? And so sometimes you like background vocals can be like super rich. One thing about Tierra, she puts me in the vein of like how D'Angelo does ad-libs. So that's like, if you listen to any of her stuff, that's kind of her style, to where like sometimes you'll hear the music play and it's like all the oohs and ahs and like it's rich. So it's not like when you get the session, like we'll have our music, but like Tierra may send like 30, 40 tracks of just like harmony, just harmonizing with the instrumentation that makes the track feel richer. When you listen to it as a listener, and you got to think she's harmonizing while she's rapping and she's not getting in the way. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I would say is really dope about her, and it just fit the song. Um, and then C was receptive to doing it, which is dope. And then the hook was just more of a I was like, "See, do you know Vanessa?" And she was like, "Yeah, I would like to work with her." I was like, "Word."
Right on it.
I put the call in, and like I said, I worked with Vanessa since she was like 14. So I was like, "Hey, got this dope song. I'm gonna send it to you. Send me something." And so she sent it back, and everybody kind of went back and forth on it, but it just came out really, really dope, and it was just really good energy. And like I said, I was glad that everybody was able to sit and talk and meet each other. But that's I guess as a listener, that was the dynamic. We had the hook last, but like the ad libs and like that was part of the music. So like the harmony was a part of the production, if that makes sense. So
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you expressed that. I have to say, man, even in addition to this track, like, all of the vocal features are top notch, and it just really speaks volumes to how plugged in you guys might have been in putting this project together and just making sure that the chemistry was right. Can you from the Jack Freeman feature to Vanessa Hill and Tiara Jewel and even Mariah Mache, like I said, all of the vocals really work well to complement C-Red's verses, right? What do you guys attribute to this amazing music outcome?
I think it always starts with the artist having a clear understanding and a clear vision of what they want. C-Red is very, very, she's very aware of what she's looking for, what she wants it to sound like, and things of that nature. So it makes it a lot easier to pick people and to reach out, because you're not really guessing. You know exactly what we're looking for. We got an idea of, who can pull that off. And so it's just a matter of, deciding which one of us has the connection with that person and reaching out and getting it done. But fortunately, with the quality of spitting that she did on it, and the production came out really nice. It wasn't very difficult to get the people that we wanted to really feature on these records and really make it come to life.
Nice. What would you say is the most interesting track you guys contributed to this EP from a producer perspective?
The intro.
Maybe the intro. Okay. Tell me why. And maybe you guys have varying.
See, Ray got to talk about that one. We're not allowed to talk about it.
Really?
No, go ahead, Jermaine. Go ahead.
No exclusive over here. We don't get an exclusive.
So we got an exclusive. All right. So the hardest track to figure out for us was, believe it or not, the intro. And on the intro, when you hear the intro, you hear like this big orchestral piece that Mason composed. King Mason composed that, and we had all of the other instruments that we normally do. The bass, the guitar, the keys, the drums, and things of that nature. I believe we even had like some saxophone in there and things of that. It was just this huge track, and it definitely took some discussion, some time, some blood, sweat, and some tears to figure out what needs to be removed to make this thing feel the way it needed to feel. But once we worked through that, and it took some time, but once we worked through that and everybody heard it for the first time, was like, okay, I
He
get it.
being all political with it.
Oh
You
yeah.
see
Come
that?
on, bring it out, man.
Okay. I ain't want to do it. There you have it. And so the track, it was like a standard banger. It had smacking drums on it. Is like the whole vibe was different. So the thing, what happened is that, so normally, and this is how we work. So it's going back to the whole thing of like, okay, well, what if we did this? So that was a cool thing about the process. Like I called C and I was like, well, Mason like scored strings. And so he sent like a rough string track that was like way louder than the track. No, he sent just the strings. Mm-hmm. So I sent her the strings, like I'm gonna put these on the track. So it'll be like some Isaac Hayes type stuff. So I'm like, all right. So I put them on there. So then she calls me. No, she comes over here. And then her and my man Lawrence say, yeah, you got to take all the drums out. Like turn all of that off. So I'm just like, huh? What are you talking about? Yeah, we just the strings and keys. That's it. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. She's crazy. Whatever, and this is the thing I would say, not that we like got upset at each other, but it's like we all were very passionate about this project, which I'm happy about. Like we actually cared about it. I was vested in making sure that I felt like if she did something that I felt like it wasn't right, I would just like, and so I was just like, that don't make sense. And she was like, hey, bro, for real, man. And so I would say the biggest from the Roux standpoint is like we've grown as a production team because we were able to step outside of the box and we're receptive. Because a lot of times you'll get producers and they just think they know everything, and they won't listen to the artist. So, we are big on like, she's like our customer. We wanted to make sure that she feel good about the experience. So I was just like, all right, I turn them off. I'm not sure about it when I did it, but then we made modifications. And then at the end of the day, like we had a listening and we sat and listened to it in the studio. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then she was like, well, you guys are different. I want people to hear that. And so that's just the kind of artist she is. So I just think that was dope. But that was something, that's the story behind that song. The OG version sounds way different. I just put it like that. It sounds, it's like just drum, just cracking, just like it's that. And she was like, nope. And if you think about it, and this is just my little, and I'll shut up, but when she says like air, when I first heard it, it also makes you feel like you float in the sky. You know what I'm saying? So it feels like, it's like you taking off. It's like all the instrumentation and it feels like you just going through the clouds or some stuff like that. And it's like a real, the track is soaring, or it feels that way to me. And she had the insight to do that. And I wasn't listening initially. And then after the fact, once it all came around, I'm like, okay, this actually made sense. And, but we were willing to listen. I was probably the last person that was willing to listen, but she laughing at me. But I did. So but that's what's up.
That's what's up. He read with the producer seat, right? In the producer's seat, making it happen. You know, when you talk about this opening track, it sounds fitting the way it turned out for an opener track, you know, with the strings, with the orchestral sound, you know. And I noticed that. I was like, hold on, there's no drums. I'm not hearing any drums, you know, but like it makes sense as an opener track. But I'm curious to know if you guys would ever consider putting out the original track with the drums, maybe under another name, maybe, you know, since you guys said it, you know, um, you know, maybe as a bonus on a deluxe project, you know, I don't know. But yeah, it overall, I think you guys made the right decision. And it makes me wonder if we'll see more production in the future by C Red, or you know, an attempt to put out something production wise. Is that something you're thinking of, C Red?
Nah, I hung up my producer hat a while ago. I used to make beats and stuff before I met people that were just way better at it than me. Because I like writing and stuff more.
I got you.
You
I
know,
got
I feel like I know the Roux, like I know other people that can kind of make the sound that I'm looking for, so I don't have to do it myself. So
you. See, that's a
y'all probably just hear me spit. Yeah, for sure. It's a
That's
blessing.
a privilege when you get to
Yeah.
the place where you like, yo, my friends can make these beats for me.
Yeah.
I ain't got to put that time, but it's dope that you at least, you know, have dabbled in it and you know how to do it, and you put what you love to do at the forefront, which is MCing. So, yeah, I want to talk to you all a little bit more in regards to the production on the project. What what would you guys, and I know you guys already kind of explained certain cool things about some of these tracks, but just to go a little further on that topic, what were some bridges or change ups in the production that people might not pay attention to, or you know, maybe surprised to hear as they listen to this project? Because I feel like, you know, there's so much going on instrumentally, even though there's a lot going on lyrically as well. But I feel like with the lyrics over the beats, there's a lot to get lost in, right? And I'm curious to know if there are certain moments that people might miss in terms of the production, or like, you know, just like little change ups that people might not notice. Like, if you guys wanted to share any of those moments in the production.
I can't really speak to that. I'm not completely sure, but I will say one thing that is more of a fun fact is that we've
Okay.
never produced from the same room ever.
Okay.
This was a COVID production.
Okay, I get it now. I was getting ready to add to elaborate more on that. Like, so you guys were not in the studio together all together.
Never.
So how did that work out? Like, walk me through how the communication and the outcomes of the recording ended up working out for you all using that method or that approach.
So going back to what Jermaine mentioned, another fun fact is, like, when we were recording, we was working on a project for all the digging heads. We were at a studio with one of the members of the Kashmir Stage Band, and so we were talking, and Mason and I produced in the same room before. And a friend of mine, 8 months, he's a producer in the city, and he was just like, man, he was like, you should get with Jermaine on guitars. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna reach out. You know, we met at the studio, and it just, we have a lot in common, so we talk quite a bit. Our kids are friends now, so but I would say that, I guess, because, I mean, we hang out and talk, but I guess we're kind of in the same mindset musically, that, like, our chemistry is good enough to where I can send him something and he can send me something, and I don't necessarily have to ask for what I want. He already knows, and vice versa. So it's like, it's weird. Like, we really don't necessarily have to be in the same room, but we've been talking about now that, you know, it's maybe a little bit safer to move around. We're going to start doing stuff back in the same room again. But for the most part, it's like, I would say, just like we have deep discussions about music and, you know, not just hip hop, like jazz. Like, I'm a big jazz guy.
Mm.
And you know, we just, I guess we're just all aligned musically. So we really don't have to, it's kind of wild. It's like with technology, it's just like, okay, I know what Jermaine's gonna sing is gonna be crazy. I know what Mason's gonna sing is gonna be crazy. You just like, this is the way it is.
Mm.
So, and then we just meet up, and like when C Red came through, it was like, I don't think everybody had heard like the full production of everything, and we just kind of all sat in the room, and it was just bananas. And there's more joints, so it was like we played quite a few. So yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's dope when you can trust in the talent of your musical peers, you know, because you can see that it translated well, you know, even though you guys were not in the same studio recording this. So I want to get back to the lyrics. C Red, you say on the song Mama Told You that having joy meant more than having happiness. What do you think your mom really meant by that and the difference between the two, joy and happiness?
Yeah, so I think happiness is circumstantial. You know what I'm saying? It can shift based on what happened in your day or what you may be going through in life in a particular season. Whereas joy is something that's more deep within. I think
Say it one
joy.
more time. You cut out again. You
Oh,
said
sorry.
yeah.
Happiness is circumstantial. Joy, I think, is a lot deeper and it's more internal. And it kind of can dictate, you know, your decision making and your actions and things like that. So I think, you know, I may be driving and get a flat tire or something, and that might make me unhappy. But does that take all the joy out of my life to, you know, to the point where I'm depressed and I don't want to talk to anybody? You know, all those kinds of things. Like, probably not. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and it's something that I've kind of learned to understand, you know, more as I get older. Just kind of really, it goes back to a lot of things I was talking about, like keeping the things that are most important in your life, like top
Mhm.
priority and things like that, the things that bring you joy, like making sure that you're doing those things so that when you do have the circumstantial things that may, you know, ruin your mood temporarily or, you know, for an instant, you can always bounce back and get back on track.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, what is one of the most important principles you would say you learned from your dad? Because I know in the song you kind of talk about like in getting integrity from your mom, but principle from your dad. So what was the most important principle you gained coming
Man.
from your dad?
Oh man. I can give you two. I know
Sure.
you asked for
You can
one.
give
I can
more
give
than
you
one.
two.
Yeah, you can give more than one. Yeah.
Yeah, one goes back to priorities. My dad would always say first things first, second things second, third things third. Like he like hammered that into us, you know, as long as I can remember. And that was kind of like teaching us how to, you know, make sure we're kind of taking care of business and kind of leaving, you know, the more trivial and things that don't matter as much as, you know, doing your homework or, you know, whatever it is when you're a kid and you're growing up. He kind of like really hammered that into us, kind of how to really prioritize all the things in our life. And that's helped me quite a bit, you know, being in medical school and being an artist. And I'm a newlywed. I guess I'm not really newlywed. I got married in July of last year, but, you know,
Right.
prioritizing my family and my household and things like that. The second thing was the principle of um, making a plan or like having, you know, a guide for how you would make decisions in like really 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 hard circumstances, you know what
Mm.
I'm saying? So I think about, you know, like with relationships or whatever. He would always tell me like, you know, if a guy cheats on you, you should walk because like it's probably going to happen again. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, to where it's like when you're like in a very emotionally charged situation, you've kind of already gone through the rational thought to make certain kinds of decisions and stuff like that. So those would be the two big principles I think I got from my dad.
Dope. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you feel it was fitting to close out the project with a song about relationship love under the title Agape?
Man. Yeah, so I actually wrote that song about my now husband. We were dating at the time. But yeah, I just thought it was best to close it out there because that's kind of my foundation, you know, at this point. It's the relationship that's most important to me. He kind of is helping me. He's enhancing everything that I'm doing, you know,
Wonderful.
musically, professionally, like all those things. So it's kind of that unconditional love, that unconditional support that we all hope to have. And I just thought that it was kind of best to kind of leave the project there because that's kind of the thing that's fueling me right now.
Nice.
That's my favorite. That's like one of the most honest, most loving songs that I've ever heard in my life. Like when she wrote that, I was, if you just actually sit and listen to it, I'm married, but if you listen to it, I'm just like, wow, you know, especially as a husband, that's nuts. So I just kind of commend her on that. It's just that song is like probably really one of the most moving I've heard, and I'm not exaggerating. And to me, that level of honesty and to be that open with people about how you feel about love is like most MCs won't do that.
Mm.
So, you know, and that, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I mean, I've talked to her about that, but that song is amazing to me just for just the premise of it. So,
Nice.
you know.
Thank you for sharing that as well, Kay, man. Thank you. So I also want to continue on with the theme of that song, C-Red. From your knowledge and wisdom that you've gained, what would you say are some key attributes that make up and define a healthy relationship in this day and age?
For sure, honesty. Um, Honesty, respect, uh, vulnerability, and kind of creating the environment to allow both people in the relationship to be vulnerable, and honest with each other. Um, I think being able to have fun, you know, with each other, be silly, kind of let all the parts of your personality come out and be appreciated. And definitely communication, like good, healthy communication, open communication, and being willing to have like those difficult conversations, but also, you know, being able to talk about silly stuff or whatever. So those be my thing.
Wonderfully said. Thank you. So, C-Red, you do this series on IG called the White Coat Wednesdays, where you rap over different producers' performances of them kind of like creating beats. What inspired you to create that IG Reel series, and how beneficial has it been to you?
Yeah, so fun fact, White Coat Wednesday was actually my husband's idea.
Oh,
He,
no. Shout out to that.
yeah. And the whole premise behind that was, you know, people don't know a lot about me. Like if you look at my Instagram, you can mostly see that I'm an artist. But he wanted me to be able to show that like, hey, you're doing this really, really rigorous grind as a medical student, but you're also being an artist and you need to figure out a way to kind of bridge those worlds and kind of like show people, you know, what you're doing and kind of who you are. So that's kind of what started White Coat Wednesday. It kind of took me a while to get on board. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't feeling it at first. But once
Why,
I saw it, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, why the hesitation? Why did it take you long to get on board with it?
Man, a lot of reasons. Well, not a lot of reasons. There's a couple of reasons. One of them is just kind of like, why am I just gonna give people this content? Yeah, you know, this like free content, you know, every week when I could just put it on a project, or like, why am I gonna like, you know, waste waste bars and like waste content when I can be like figuring out a way to monetize it.
It's a good
But it
point.
started, yeah. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, as long as God gives you a gift, you're gonna be able to keep on using it, right?
Right.
And I think the biggest thing that I've gotten from doing the White Coat Wednesdays is that consistency that I was talking about earlier. It's like, even if I don't write or record anything else in a week, like I'm gonna do my White Coat Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's the thing. And it's like when I do go to do my, official songwriting for projects and stuff or features or whatever, I'm able to knock them out like a lot quicker than I did before, just because I'm always writing. I'm like always moving my pen and
Nice.
stuff like that. And it like taught me how to edit videos and like do all the little stuff that like I don't have to like pay somebody else to do because I
Right.
put in the time to do those things as well. So
I
yeah, it's
think
been dope.
the consistency is a big benefit, but I'm curious to know how difficult is it to continue to do it? Like, because it doesn't seem like it's just easy to just pull off, but how you've been able to find rhythm doing it, like actually the act of doing it, and then on top of that, continuing it every week.
I think one thing that helps is like just picking out beats and stuff that I think they're dope. Like it's obviously a lot easier to write to something that you like. But also just trying to pick things that sound different so I can show my versatility as an artist. But also for me, just like being able to write to different things, experiment with different cadences, different flows,
Yes.
all those kinds of things. So I think, I don't know, it hasn't, I mean, there are some weeks where I'm like, man, I don't feel like doing this. But then I just go back to like, what is the bigger picture? What's the end goal? Like, why are you doing it? And I think the thing it's kind of touched me the most is how it's really like inspired the people who like look forward to it every week. Like I've gotten a lot of, comments and messages like, I look forward to this every week. Like you're inspiring me to, do XYZ, like in my artistry or, whatever things that are important to me. And so that's where it's like bigger than myself and it's kind of bigger than what I want, because again, like my goal as an artist is to kind of inspire the people around me and kind of change the world in that regard. So
yeah, I get the symbolism of kind of showing people out there that you could have quote unquote a day job or another career path, and then also a music career path, and
100%.
kind of balance them together. And talk to me about that. Like, how have you been able to balance med school and also be an MC, and put out
Man.
music and all this?
God, God for sure, first and foremost. I think also, just, being willing to kind of lock myself at home or in my closet and kind of knock things out too. I don't go out a lot and, I like politic and like go to my homies' events and stuff like that. But a lot of times I'm spending a lot of times kind of like I talked about in middle school, kind of like from when I started rapping in middle school, trying to like condense a lot of my thoughts and my ideas into lyrics and stuff like that. So I think yeah, man, it's been hard. It's been interesting, but it's been a lot of fun. And like interestingly enough, like I've been more productive as a medical student and as an artist than I was ever before. I had a job before I started medical school and like I didn't write nearly as much. Like when I released I'm Ready, like that took a while for me to do. And I wasn't like writing and doing stuff nearly as much as I do now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything's its time, everything's its season.
That's an interesting point, because sometimes the urgency is a little stronger when you have something else going on. It's like I don't know if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but does it give you like a sense of fulfillment to be like, all right, I'm doing this, but I'm also doing what I also enjoy doing, right?
Yeah, 100%. And like a big thing for me is kind of changing the narrative about what's possible, for people to do. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you're gonna have to pick one. But I'm like, why? Is it just because you haven't seen anybody else do it? Like, is that why you're telling me to pick one? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a formula for how everybody else has always done things, but that doesn't mean that there's not a different way to do something. And in that same regard, artists do all kinds of things. Artists own businesses. Artists have families. You know what I'm saying? Artists are involved in a lot of different things. So I'm not buying into the whole narrative that like if you want to be a great MC, you can only be an MC. Like you can't
Right.
do other things. Like I just don't think that's true.
Yeah, in this day and time, you have to. Most people got to do other things, right?
Yeah.
You know, especially in the pandemic where touring has slowed up. I mean, it's starting to pick back up now. You know, you got to kind of figure out how to get other things going.
Yeah.
But
I think too,
kudos
oh,
to you.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think the other thing too that's important is for like, you know, for kids and stuff that are watching artists, you know, a kid may like a rapper, they might like a song or something, but maybe they don't want to be a musician. Maybe a kid does want to be a doctor. Maybe a kid does want to be an engineer. Like, how cool is it for them to be like, oh yeah, I like this rapper, but they're doing this, and like I want to do that thing because of them. You know, and it's not like, oh, I have to play ball or I have to rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. And they might have gotten wind of you because they were into rap, right, or into hip hop, and this idea to become, you know, a doctor or a nurse or whatever pops up by seeing you doing that too. So it could work either way. So the next question goes back to the Roux, and I'm getting ready to close out. So I want to thank y'all for staying this time with me. I have to ask you all about the new Phife Dawg album, which you all produced one of my favorite tracks on that album, To Live Forever, featuring Posdnuos, Little Brother, and Darian Brockington. How did you all get to be a part of that album? And what would you say was the most memorable thing you recall recording that track?
Okay, I guess I'll speak to it. So I guess a little like background on us as so in my times as an MC, I was on a label called Garden Seeker with Ali Shahi Muhammad.
Nice.
And so you know, I was recording my project with him. I put it out this, you know, years and years ago. But you know, through that process I met like a whole bunch of cool people, and one of those people was Phife. I've recorded with Phife before, and the crazy thing about that song, and I guess this is a premiere because we were supposed to like kind of tell the story somewhere else, but basically, I was in the studio, I was working on the track, and I hadn't talked to Phife in a minute, so I sent it to him. It was just one song, and it was for no reason other than like, hey man, I was just thinking about you. What you think about this? If you want it, you can have it. I was just thinking about it when I did it. So then he hit me back like, yo, this is crazy. This was this was had to be like 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2014, 2015. So then Mason came through, and so this is when it was just K and King Mason, and so it was a different version of the track. This is more sample driven at that time, and we sent it to him. I was kind of hyped. He was like, "Yeah, I'm doing a project, and I'm gonna use it," and that was all I knew about it. That was it. And so, and then in a year or so, he passed, and so I sat on that track for all that time. Didn't have any communication with the family, with his manager. Didn't know anything about what he did with the song. It's just like, okay, well, and I really like the track, and it's like it's been times where I was gonna give it to somebody, and like, well, yo, it's just sitting here, but I just never had the heart to do it. So during the pandemic, I get a call, and Roux called me and is like, yo, little brother Darian Brockington and Posdnuos is on this song that you did.
Dope.
That was so random. So, but then it's kind of the same process with C Red. We had to like Jermaine like is playing like the guitars and stuff on the project, so it's like really no samples. Like it's a guy named, he goes by Sam Thousand now, but it's like true like horn sections and all of that. And we tried to make it sound as much like a sample as we can. Ronnie did the string arrangements just like on air. So we was kind of in the same time that we were working on air. That was like something that we was working on as well. But so basically, like I would say that, well, I had a connection with him, so that was like a friend of mine, and like he been to Houston, came to my house, freestyled, we've hung out. Like I know it sounds random, you know, and he's like, I'm just the last thing about Fife is like I was just a dude from Texas,
Mm.
and he treated me like, even though he was Fife from a Tribe Called Quest, and I'm like a big tribe head. It's like he treated me like he was his brother. It was no air of like I'm here and you're there, or nothing like that.
Mm.
And he's just always been that way. He's just like one of the most stand up dudes that I ever been around. And so, but that was just a blessing from him. So it was just like he decided, and he didn't record to the song. So he was supposed to be on the song.
Mm.
And from my understanding, we weren't going to be on the project, but because Roux knew that that was his wishes for us to have the song on the project, they put it on there anyway.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So
To see his wishes come to fruition, and to kind of just like honor that.
yeah,
It's dope, man. Yeah, I
Roux,
noticed that. Yeah, that was one of the tracks that he's not featured on.
not at all. But
And
it was
it
the
felt like a
intention.
tribute track. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the intention. So he was supposed to be on there, and it
Right.
was like I knew how he felt about it, and it was just like that was supposed to be like the joint, like, you know, Dave was sick, but it was supposed to be Little Brother and De La Soul
Right.
and Fife. Like it was supposed to be this big thing,
Wow, that would have been
and it
huge.
didn't. Yeah, it didn't happen. So
Wow. Wow. Tell me again why he wasn't on that track again. What happened? He just never got a chance to record on it.
yeah, he passed.
Right. He got okay. That's what it is. Okay. Wow. Yeah, man.
So that was, and like I said, I didn't like it. I was just on my computer. I was like, I told Roots, I was like, bro, you could at least called and told me that I was working on it, because it's just been sitting on my computer. What if I lost the session? And so I had the session. Yeah, because I never sent them the session. All they had was a 2-track, like
Wow.
all these years. So he reached up, and I was like, yeah, I still got it. I was like, thanks for letting me know.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, and because I have another YouTube channel where I do music reviews, and I was looking through the credits, and when I saw that the Root had a track on there, I was like, it makes so much sense. After listening to this HEIR album, I was like, yo, like this production works, because the production on that album is also very cohesive as well, and it's very soulful. So I felt like they made a good choice, because it worked in the sequencing for that project as well. Any other insight that you got from Fife that you hold to you, or memories of like wisdom or words of advice you've gotten from him, you care to share?
Uh, just to be honest with your art,
Mm.
you know. That's pretty much it. It's really just in a nutshell. And that's the kind of dude he was. So I mean, at that time, I was trying to find my way as an MC, and it was just, he was like, just be you. You know what I'm saying? And it helped me out, and I learned a lot from the process. But it's in just to all those people out there, if you just being a good person will take you a long way.
Yeah.
As far as music is concerned, how you deal with people, just doing good business, and just being just genuine. People say that's like a weird thing, because music can be grimy, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's kind of what I got from him. and just kind of being around, I guess, Tribe and of course it was difficulties and stuff. They were brothers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it was just about just being genuine and just being a good dude. So that's what I got from him. So
Indeed. Thank you for sharing. So I want to thank each and every one of you all again for taking the time to chat with me. I think we've been here for a little over an hour, probably an hour and a half. So I appreciate y'all. But before we go, can you all give us and the viewers and listeners out there some insight on what's next in store? How do you guys see the rest of this year rolling out musically for you, whether it's with this project or others? What's next in store that folks should know about? Anyone?
See Red live.
C Red, the Queen C.
Oh man. Yeah, so I have some other projects kind of ready to go, ready in the pipeline. Definitely want to give HEIR its room to breathe and give it its space. I think there's still the potential for a lot more people to hear it and enjoy it. So I don't want to kind of oversaturate my personal discography quite yet. But may drop something in the fall. We'll see. Still trying to decide right now. But really just trying to push the project and get it in front of as many eyes and in as many ears as possible.
Are we going to see a full-length project from you anytime in the near future? Like over 30 minutes?
Over 30 minutes
I don't know.
specifically.
LP, you know how they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, got it.
Sure.
What about touring, performing, music videos? Are we going to see more of that for this HEIR project as well?
Yeah, we would like to shoot some more visuals for HEIR for sure.
Nice.
Trying to figure out logistics and stuff for that right now.
Okay.
What was the other question? Touring. I don't know. I'm starting residency in July, so I'm kind of doing a lot of performing and stuff right now, but I'm going to be relocating to the Midwest for that. So
Got it.
get some stages and stuff out there. But I'm going to get a little bit more organized and kind of figure out my show schedule and stuff for the rest of the year and make sure that's available for the people.
Dope. Awesome. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So Kay, Jermaine, you want to talk about what you guys got next? And also shout out your social media and places people can connect with y'all too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is C Red again, y'all. Y'all can connect with me on social media at on Instagram and on Twitter at CRED_13, cred_13. Look forward to connecting with y'all. I have all my links and stuff there.
Dope.
This is Jermaine. You can find me at I am Jermaine1 everywhere. As far as things coming up for me, I just have my head down, man. I'm in the studio quite a bit, and every now and again I get to come out and play live, so that's always fun. So we're just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, dope. It being that you guys all collaborated with the live instrumentation on this project, I'm actually curious to see how you all perform as a band, right? Like, do you guys think of doing the live rendition of HEIR, and everybody kind of playing their roles with the live instrumentation, maybe even bringing other people to participate in the band? Is that something you guys thought about?
There's something in the works. We'll see how it pans out.
Okay. Wonderful. Kay, you want to give your what's next for you?
Well, as the Roux, so we're the Roux official. So the Roux is Jermaine Williams, Kay, and King Mason. I'm doing a lot of engineering and mixing right now for multiple projects. We do have a lot of interesting collaborations with some legends that I'm excited about. That's going to be coming out this year. So, I want, huh?
No names. No names.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I ain't gonna even lie. But
Right.
you know, as the thing is that this thing, this C-Red project really jumped off stuff for us. Um, we've got like a lot of good feedback, so it's just been a blessing. You know, to even had the opportunity to work with her. Um, she's connected us with yeah. I'm gonna see. She's laughing.
Yeah.
So we went to the listening in Atlanta and went to the Fife listening party, and I just put it like that. We got to meet a lot of folks that was on the project.
Dope. That's
So
what's
it's, you know, and everybody was able to hear what we were able to do, and you know, we let people hear see rare stuff, and you know, now we're just kind of cooking up for other folks, and you're just trying to, you know, kind of get our sound out there, and then, you know, hopefully, like we want to revisit, you know, working with C. You know, that's something that I'm like really, really big on. So I enjoyed it. I feel like we've grown as a production team, you know, working with her, and you know, you want to have, you know, your family or you know, the people that you work with. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming out. I just put it like that. It's gonna be bananas. So
dope.
yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that, man. I want to wish you all the best and continued success musically. Just off of what you guys been saying, I'm excited to see what's next. You know, and yeah, man. I hope that things continue to really go in the right direction with each of you music career. You know, so yeah, man. To all of our listeners and viewers out there, I thank y'all for rocking with me. You know, this was awesome to have this chat with the Roux and C-Red. Make sure y'all go to our website, outtheboxmedia.com, to get access to all of our, you know, new posts, giving you updates on new creative and conscious hip hop, as well as soul music. And remember, you can become a member of our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/outtheboxmedia, where you can get exclusive interview clips. Thank you again to my guests today, the Roux and C-Red, the talented C-Red. I will catch you all on the next episode. We have made it to episode 102, and you'll see episode 103 next week. Remember, we are on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you generally listen to audio podcasts. You can find a high quality audio podcast there. All right, and feel free to leave a comment at the in the YouTube video, or leave a review on the podcast if you like what you've been hearing with these shows. All right, I will catch y'all on the next episode. I want to say peace, love, and light. Y'all have a wonderful one. Thank you again to my guests. We out of here. Peace.